Okay, let us continue from where we stopped just now. Okay, okay, hold on. Okay, now, okay, so this PPP establishment, uh, is for you uh, uh, to do what we call this establishment lah between you, okay. Let's say for example, okay, you here, okay, from your home to your ISP, okay. So what you need to do, okay, there are 3 phases, okay. One is LCP. This is where you negotiate, okay, your the information of you in data link layer. Okay, so what is it? You negotiate your magic number, you negotiate your MRU, okay, and many more, okay. But the one that they highlight is 3 things lah: MRU, magic numbers, and what else? Just now I don't remember actually. Your authentication protocol, okay. So if you both party, the ISP and you decide that there is an authentication protocol. So the next step will be authentication protocol. Okay, we already learned just now that you have a PEP, okay, protocol or chat. Okay, so the third one, okay, for this group I not yet explain the detail. The third part is for you to negotiate things that are related to your network layer. Okay, so this one, this phase, they are using NCP, which is Network Control Protocol. Okay, so in this phase, what are the things that you negotiate? Okay, the first thing that you negotiate is on the protocol that you want to use. Okay, so when you use YouTube, for example, you use the internet. Okay, what protocol that you want to use? Okay, either you want to use IP protocol or you want to use IPX protocol, or either you want to use Apple Talk protocol, okay, or there is another one, OSI, or OSI Network Layer Protocol. Okay, you need to choose, okay, the protocol that you want to use. What is this? The network protocols lah, the IP protocols. Okay. And number 2, when you decide that you use IP protocol, okay, then you need to have this configuration, IP address configuration. Okay. So this slide, okay, mention about IPCP. Okay. So what is IPCP? IPCP protocol, okay, is a protocol that responsible, okay, to for configuring, enable or disable the IP protocol. Okay, so what is this? This protocol, this IPCP, okay, is being used when you negotiate your, when you do negotiation at this phase, network layer phase, NCP. So let me share with you the detailed part. Okay, is this now here? Okay, okay. I guess you can produce. I hope lah. Okay, you can see this. Okay, and okay. So now, the one that we already cover here is LCP. So LCP, okay, is one part lah. You done. This one is done. Okay, and we already go through this both PAP and chat. Okay, so all of these is fall under LCP and authentication AP protocol. This the first stage. The second stage is the authentication. Now you go to the third stage. Okay, which is to negotiate your, this is NCP, to negotiate uh, parameters that are related to network layer. Okay, that are related to network layer. What is it? One of it is that you need to negotiate with your ISP that you are using IP protocol here. Okay, so if you want to send your YouTube data, for example, by using the IP protocol, so in your negotiation, you need to use IPCP. IPCP is a protocol, used for you to negotiate with your ISP, telling your ISP that you are going to use IP protocol. Okay? So if you want to use IP protocol later on, so here in your negotiation, you must use IPCP. Where is the pen? Oh, okay. Okay, here you must use IPCP. What is IPCP? The control protocol for IP. Okay, because later on, okay, you want to use the IP protocol. Okay, so in your negotiation, you must negotiate saying that, okay, after this, all the YouTube and everything are using IP. So let's say, for example, you don't want to use IP. Okay, you use IPX, for example. Okay, so you need to negotiate. Okay, in your negotiation here, okay, you mentioned that, okay, later on you want to use IPX. Okay, so this IPX, you want to use this IPX protocol. So here in your negotiation, you must mention that you are going to use IPX in novel IPX control protocol. Okay, so if you want to use IP protocol later on, so you need to negotiate that, and to negotiate that IP protocol, you need IPCP protocol. Okay, so if later on you are going to use Apple Talk, for example, then when you negotiate, you must mention that. Okay, you must negotiate by using this control protocol. Okay, if later on you are using OSI network layer protocol here, then when you negotiate, you must use OSI network layer control protocol. Okay, so that is the basic part lah. Okay, so how you get this IPCP? So basically, IPCP is a protocol that you use in order for you to negotiate later on. Okay, you want to use IP protocol, now you negotiate by using IPCP protocol. So that is what it means. Okay, so now, so IPCP, okay, IPCP protocol happen. This protocol you use when you are you already in this phase, NCP. Okay, so you cannot exchange IPCP packet when you are still in these phases. No. Okay, it is step by step. You settle your data link layer first. You settle all the authentication first. Then only you can go to network layer. So if, okay, for some reason, you get IPCP packet, okay, before you reach the network phase, I mean the third phase here, okay, before you reach this network phase, you already get IPCP packet, this one will be ignored, okay? You don't exchange packets in other phases, okay? So you must follow the sequence. First you settle the data link layer, then you settle the authentication, then only you go and settle your network phases, okay? Including IPCP. Okay, so one of the things that being negotiated here is the IP address. Okay, so now the IP address. Okay, in this slide. Okay, the example is a static IP address. Static here means that you as a user, I guess this one is the user. Okay, this one is ISP. You as a user, you already have your own IP address here. Okay, you already have your own IP address. Okay, so you don't you you have your IP address, okay, and you need to inform, okay, your ISP the IP address of yours, okay. So both party, okay, you and your ISP, you also have to send a configure request telling your ISP this is your IP address, okay, and ISP need to agree with that configure at here, okay, and the ISP also need to inform you, okay, about their IP address. So that's why you can see the arrow here, configure request. It's not that ISP request something to you, no. ISP uh, uh, will inform you the IP address here, the IP address that they use, which is 10.1.2. And you need to agree and send configure at. Okay, so why you need this part? Okay, I guess you know. Okay, you here. Okay, when you configure next hope, in your routing IP route static or whatever routing that you are you want to do. Okay, your next hope, you must know your next hope. Okay, so that's why you must know this IP address lah, 10.1.2 here. Okay, so that is why, okay, this is where okay, you assign your IP address. Okay, so all of this procedure is being done by IP? No, this is being done by IPCP. Okay, so because you are still in the negotiation phase. Okay, so this IPCP is part of network phase just now, the third phase or the last phase, and the last phase are using NCP protocol. Okay, so okay, so that is static. Okay, this is the static to negotiation is okay. Okay, but normally we have this negotiation, this type of negotiation. Okay, where you as a user, you don't know what is your IP address, and you want your ISP to give you the IP address. Okay, this is the situation. Okay, what you mean by dynamic here is that the IP address that you have now here, you not yet have an IP address. This IP address will dynamically assigned by the ISP, okay, by the ISP. So ISP will give you the IP address. So this is what we call dynamic address negotiation, where a client need to be assigned an IP address. They don't have an IP address, okay. So you and as ISP, okay. So what you do, you give them the IP address. So here, when you configure, okay, you use this one, IP address PPP negotiate, okay, in the command, okay, you will use this. Okay, now, so what happened here? Okay, what happened here is what happened here is that, okay, user here will send the configuration request, okay. Okay. So configuration request, when they send the configure request here, they 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 put 0.0.0.0. So what you mean by this? ISP will understand that, okay, the ISP here will send the IP address, okay, because 0.0.0 here shows that this client or this user want to use want to have an IP address. So what happened here, okay, when ISP, let me clear this one first, okay, when ISP receive this kind of packet, okay, you can see 0.0.0, it will reject, Okay, reject means it will send a negative acknowledgement. Okay, this is actually a good thing. Okay, first, okay, why they send configure net here? Because they, okay, this ISP didn't agree with your request 0.0.0. So when ISP want to send you, okay, the new IP address, okay, so they will reject in the sense that sending configure negative acknowledgement and suggest you to use 10.1.1.1. So you here as a user, okay, what you do, you send again the configuration configure request, you modify, you follow the suggestion of ISP uh, that you request to use 1.1.1.1, 10.1.1.1, then ISP will agree with you. Okay. Now only you have the IP address 10.1.1.1 here. Okay, so that is what it means. Okay, so here it is mentioned here that when PPP or the server, no, PPP server, the router B there, the ISP will respond by sending configure net, and there they suggest some IP address parameters to the user. Okay, so user will comply, okay, with the IP address. Okay, it will change the value of IP address, okay, and send the configure request. Okay, now this part, the green, not the green, the red part is from you to your ISP. Okay, and your ISP also need to inform you their IP address. So they send 10.1.1.2, okay, and you agree with their IP address. So now, okay, both of you already done, already have an IP address, okay, and this IPCP protocol already help you, okay, to negotiate, okay, to negotiate, okay, on behalf of the IP protocol that you want to use later. Okay, so now you're done with these three phases. Okay, you already have your LCP settled. Okay, your authentication is also settled. Okay, and the third one is your NCP. And in this case, you are using IP, meaning that your IPCP negotiation done. Okay, so now you can start. Okay, sending your YouTube or whatever data that you have. Okay, okay. Now let's look at the configuration. Okay, this is another again another new story. Okay. Because I already know that most of all of you are not yet taking the network security course. Okay, so network security, okay, basically you have 5 things. Okay, I hope that you will learn this later lah. That we have authentication, okay, and we have authorization, authorization, okay. We have what you call this availability, available, okay, whether the services is available or not, okay, availability, and we have a new one lah, controllability, controllability, okay, whether all your network when you are being attacked, okay, can you quickly see whether which part of the network is being attacked, okay, whether it is controllable or not lah. Okay, so this part, and another part is the new not so new lah, non-repudiation. Okay, non-repudiation is something like, okay, you have your username and password, but when you did something wrong, okay, probably when you hack some server, for example, but you didn't admit that that you did that. Okay, so this is non-repudiation. Okay, even though you have authentication. Authentication here means that you need to have username and password. Okay, so this authentication answer the question who. Okay, who is uh, who is the user. Okay, it has the username and password. And authorization, okay, authorization is what you allow, what you allow the user to do. Okay, so this one answer the question what. Okay, what you allow the user to do. So this is 5 things lah in security, for whatever technologies that are apa tu, that they use. Okay, they must fall under these 5 things lah. Okay, so now here, okay, we need to do some configuration on the part, okay, the authentication. Okay, the authentication that we have here is PAP and chat. Okay, so in order to do authentication in Huawei router, you have AAA. Okay, AAA. AAA interface, and when you type there, you go to that interface. Okay, so the first A is authentication. Okay, authentication. Okay, what you mean by authentication? It means that you need to uh, have a username and password. Okay, so that's why here in the configuration, okay, you have local user. Okay, the name of this user, the username is Huawei, and the password, okay, the password is Huawei123. Okay, it's just that this password have 2 types. Okay, one is cipher, one is simple. Okay, simple means that whatever you type here can be seen, okay, as it is, which is Huawei123. If you use cipher here, meaning that when you look into the account, you already encrypt this Huawei 123 password, you already encrypt. Okay, so this is what it means by cipher. Okay, so this is the first A, which is authentication. Okay, so first, okay, you must have this authentication. Who are going to use what? Okay, so who? The question is who and what is the password? Okay, okay, that one is authentication. Then the second A is authorization. Okay, authorization is you authorize lah, meaning that you allow them to do what? Okay, what are the things that you allow them to do? What are the services that you allow them to have? Okay, so that is authorization. Okay, so there, okay, so you have again the same Huawei username, Huawei, the user Huawei here, okay, uh, can use the PPP protocol. Okay, so the service type. Okay, so this is where you authorize the user to use the services. Okay, later on when we go to application layer, the configuration of FTP, the configuration of what we call telnet, for example. Okay, so all these services, okay, you must allow, okay, the user to have these services, or you must authorize them to use the PPP. Okay, so this is authorization. Okay, so this AAA is not only in the Huawei router. Okay, this when you learn network security, you will know that this AAA is one of the features to do authentication. Okay, and what it means by local user here is that all that this user, user Huawei here, this username, this Huawei username, this user here is registered in the router. Okay, in the router. In the router itself, we register them in the router. This is very, I mean, okay. So this situation, normally what we have a router and we have a server. Okay, this server sometime radius server or many types lah. In this server you store all the username, password, authorization and everything. And when this router want to use the username, they will normally refer to this server and this server will reply to them. Okay, so in this case, okay, oh, very okay. We reply to them. So in this case, the user itself, you store the value of this user inside the router. This is what it mean by local user. Okay, and the procedure here is very simple. That this one is AAA, you must settle first. Then this one is as usual. Okay, you go to the serial port. Okay, you put PPP, and then this PPP, the authentication mode is PAP. Okay, so this RTA, okay, RTA is the authenticator, which is the ISP lah. So ISP need to register you and your username and password first. Okay, they need to register you. Okay, uh, uh, in their environment first. Okay, then only you here. Okay, as a user. Okay, what you need to do is you in your serial port here. Okay, you put PPP and you also say that, okay, you are using PPP and your authentication here must same, okay, with the one that are being registered in ISP, which is PAP. Okay, and you are also a local user. Your username is Huawei and your password is Huawei123. And both party in this case, okay, have their own IP address. Okay, IP address 10.1.1.2 here. And you as an ISP, you also have 10.1.1.1 here. Okay, settle. Okay, this is the configuration that you need to have. Okay, so basically you need to have authenticator. This one is your ISP, and you also need, as a user, you also have to configure in the username and password. Okay, then you can see a domain here. Okay, so when you learn in network security, you will go into detail that this every users, okay, every users must part of domain, some domain. Okay, so if you don't understand what is domain, it's like, okay, in this example, let's say here, okay, this what we call this ISP, this ISP this ISP is this ISP have so many other users. Okay, let's say they differentiate their users based on services. Okay, some of the services are using Unify, for example. Okay, so they fall under Unify domain. Okay, some users are using Streamix, for example. Okay, so this one is the type of services in ISP. Okay, so some of the users are within the Streamix domain. Okay, or if you have a domain of state, for example, some users coming from Selangor state. Okay, so some users are coming from Kuala Lumpur state, for example, Kuala Lumpur, for example, KL, for example. So this one is different domain. Okay, so here if it is not mentioned anything about domain, okay, so this domain is going to be a default domain. Okay, default domain. And this default domain have two types lah. Okay, one is the normal user. Okay, the normal user default domain. Okay, and one is the admin. Okay, admin domain lah. Okay, I guess this one maybe we won't go through in detail but I'm not sure. Probably when we learn FTP, or I'm not sure lah, that part. Okay. But if it is not mentioned anything about domain here, it's understood that this local user Huawei is fall under default domain. Okay, default domain as a normal user. Okay, so that's it. Talking about domain. And okay, so the username and password is set by authenticator. Okay, so meaning that when you have when you have apa tu, mm, when you have an account. Okay, I guess I forgot to tell you that the first A is authentication, yes. The second A is authorization. Then the third A, the third A here is account. Your uh, your account lah, meaning that your username, password, okay, and what package that you use, okay, how many megabit per second or that you your package lah, okay. So your billing your billing is also fall under this A lah. We didn't configure we won't configure it, okay. But part of this account, the ISP also will know your username and password. Okay, so you agree on that part lah. Okay, so the configuration for, I think this took a long time. Okay, I guess in those in group one who listened to this, okay, I told them that okay, we didn't configure. Actually, when I checked back, there is a configuration of this the validation of this PAP and CHAP in the lab. Okay, so what you do here, okay, this debugging is not to debug, okay, it's just to view, okay, it's just to view what happened. Um, uh, what transaction, okay, that happen, okay, in PPP, to be specific, in the PAP, and PAP has many things, change, the state change, the packet, okay, this one is all lah, so it will to display all, okay, all, okay. Now, so PAP, remember that you send password and then you receive the password, okay? So now you RTB here, meaning that, let me see first, you RTB here, you are the user, okay? So RTA is the authenticator, the ISP. So here what you do is you the one who send the password, okay, and then you will later on, okay, so this one you send the password, okay, and then you will receive the acknowledgement, okay, okay, so the client success lah, this one you receive from uh your ISP, okay, so this one is two handshake lah, two ways handshake, okay. Okay, so now chat. Okay, chat is also same things. You are here user and your authenticator is ISP. Okay, so ISP here router A. The ISP here have to create go to AAA, create a a username and password. Okay, the same thing. And you must authorize this user to use PPP protocol, okay, and also this PPP, what will be the authentication mode, the chat, okay, so uh, not so different lah kan, with PAP, almost same. And here as a user, okay, as a user, what you do there in your serial port, okay, you must mention that you use PPP here, and this PPP are using chat, and the username is Huawei, okay, and the password is Huawei123, okay. So I guess this slide, the it explain again the mechanism used in chat, where where the authenticated device means the user, okay, the user send you only username, okay, and then the password are not transmitted. What is being transmitted is that apa tu this challenge, okay, This challenge is a random value in this slide. It is mentioned that a hash value lah is basically a random value, okay, that given to you by the ISP, okay, by the authenticator, and the challenge we name it as a challenge, okay. I guess we don't have to go through in detail again, okay. So here, okay, you can see that, okay, what we call this, the user, locally defined users, the local users lah, okay, the local users, as I mentioned just now, this local users is the users, the username that you configure the username and password inside that router, inside the router, okay, it's not in the any server, okay. So here, okay, so you have authentication mode, and because uh, because uh, there is no definition of domain here, okay, you can see here in the configuration, it is not mentioned anything related to domain, okay. All these users are in the default domain, okay. So that's, I guess that's it, okay. When you view, okay, when you view, you know that, okay, there is three-way handshake, okay, three-way handshake just now, that the ISP and you here, okay, ISP send you challenge, okay, and you give them response, okay, and they check if they agree, so they send acknowledgement, okay, this three-way handshake. So here RTB here is you, okay, user, okay. So RTB here is you, user, okay. So what you do is you receive, initially you listen a challenge, or you receive a challenge, okay, and then what you do, you send a response, and then after that you will receive a acknowledgement, and this is where your username and password is already successfully okay, done, okay. So this debugging, okay, this interface, okay, this debugging interface will display all the stage involved, okay, and what you must see in chat, okay, you must see there is a challenge sent, and there is a response, and it is success, okay. These three things lah that you need to view in when you open the debugging interface, okay. Now this is the last part, Alhamdulillah, okay. So you have the question here. Following a configure request, what packet is expected to be received before the link layer can successfully establish? Okay, I guess the biggest hint here is in the link layer, which means that they are talking about LCP negotiation. Okay, LCP negotiation end when you receive a configure act. Okay, when you receive configure act, this is when all your magic number, your MRU, everything is being agreed. Okay, so this is so when you receive this from your ISP, you know that you can move to the next phase, which is authentication phase. And after you're done with that authentication phase, you can move to the network phase. Okay. So network phase here is NCP. Okay. The question asks how you uh, close the deal in LCP. Okay, you close the deal in LCP when you receive configure act. Okay, which protocol is used to perform the negotiation of IP addresses? Okay, this question is actually you must know that these IP addresses, meaning that you are using IP protocol. Okay, so when you use IP protocol to transfer all your YouTube files and everything, when you negotiate, you must use IPCP. Okay. So IPCP is what? IPCP is a protocol that you use when you negotiate. What are the things that you negotiate? You want to negotiate so that you can use the IP protocol later on. Okay. Uh, so that is what IPCP. So this question indirectly asks you whether you know or not the difference between IP and IPCP. Okay, that is lah. Okay, that is the things. Okay? So the IPCP is used to negotiate the IP protocol. Okay, the module. Okay, as part of the NCP negotiation process. This one is the network phase lah. Okay. So this occurs during the network phase of PPP establishment. Okay, I guess that's all. Thank you very much.